So if you don't have a trial version or paid version of this Burp Suite Professional, use Hydra. So if I hit enter, so it successfully cracked the username and password. Hey amazing hackers, today we'll be looking at Mr. Robot CTF room from TryHackMe. So you can go to learn, search, and then if you search for Mr. Robot, this is the first one that comes up. Okay, so this is a medium machine and it is a free challenge machine. Let's get started. So first of all, so Mr. Robot is a virtual machine which is hosted in TryHackMe network. Okay, so first of all, you need to connect to that network and only then you can hack it. Go to this access page and download the VPN. I see that this is the VPN server and for me it is IN regular. Just see if you find something closer to you. Okay, once that is done, you download the configuration file, move it to TryHackMe location and open a terminal right here, sudo openvpn and then that OpenVPN file. So now we have successfully connected to that VPN. So just open ifconfig turn 0 and you can see that this is our IP address. Okay, and if you scroll down and just complete this section because we have already connected to VPN and we have already done this task as well. So complete. So you are ready. Complete. Now when you deploy material, you will see an internal IP address in your virtual machine. Yes, so let's hack the machine. Once you go to this section, you have to start the machine. So this notification is because I have zoomed in the screen. Okay, it shouldn't bother with hacking the machine. So let's start the machine anyway. So we have to wait for the machine to boot. In the meantime, let's go back to the terminal and copy this IP address, sudo nano zshell rc. This is where I store IP addresses as variables. So this is my IP and we have to replace the target IP with the IP of Mr. Robot. So copy to clipboard, paste it over here. Don't worry about this domain and subdomain. Let's close it as of now. Once you have made changes in your zshell rc or bash rc, you just type that zshell or bash and hit enter so that you get a new shell. And if you type echo $myip, you get this IP address. And if you just type echo $ip, you should get the IP of the target machine. Okay, once this is done, let's clear everything and say nmap $ip, detect the service version and run default scripts. Check all the ports in the machine and only run the scripts or service version scans only on the open ports. If the ping scan doesn't work, use no ping scan and use verbosity so that you can start working on the open ports right away. And this dash min rate will just speed up the scanning process. Okay, just hit enter and I can see that port 80 and port 443 are open because this port 80 is HTTP. So I'll directly open it in the browser. Okay. Wow. Cool. So Mr. Robot is talking to us and they designed it really well. So let's hit on some commands. Prepare.
You are not free. You are owned. Owned by your job. Owned by the 1% of the 1%. Owned by debt. We are F Society. Between June 18th and 20th, we will take back over $100,000 and give it to you, live on Twitch, to delete the debt that holds you hostage. All you need is a code.
Seriously, Is that website exist? Who is Mr. Robot.com? Okay, so it just redirects to usanetwork.com. So use help command and I can see F Society right here. So F Society, it just redirects to F Society URL. Okay, so help inform. So it's just giving us some information about some real world scenarios where in modern history the gladiators used to entertain the crowds. Now these days these players are entertaining the crowds. All the basketball, football, cricket or whichever sport you're seeing, all those players are considered as gladiators and you are the audience, and the things never changed from there. Okay, so billionaire secretly launches private rocket into space. So there's some conspiracy right there, and this is some infection that's spreading. So people say COVID is a scam, and this is one of the thing that they are saying, and so on and so forth. So let's close this. Let's use help. I can see question. Okay, so the Patriot says that American dream is a myth. Executives say everyone steals, that's how it works. Capitalist says give a man a gun and he'll rob the bank. Give a man a bank and he will rob the world. Cool. Businessman says you have been owned. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's wake up.
What I'm about to tell you is top secret. A conspiracy bigger than all of us. There's a powerful group of people out there that are secretly running the world. I'm talking about the guys no one knows about, the guys that are invisible. The top 1% of the top 1%, the guys that play God without permission.
Okay, top 1% of top 1%. The people who play God without permission. That's so deep. Join. I know you feel controlled, but they've been fighting for you. All of you, it's time to break free from the corporate masters. You've been slave in their debt for too long. So if you're ready to join me, enter your email address. Okay, I'm ready to join. Let's say support at hmcyberacademy.com. So let's send it. We'll be in touch. Okay, pretty much enjoyed the whole stuff. So nmap scan is done. So let's copy the results, and I can see that port 80, port 443, both are HTTP and HTTPS, and there's nothing else. So since this is website, so let's do directory busting. So let's take this and use GoBuster and dir and give the word list, and the IP address should be changed to this. So let's give some file extensions. PHP, JavaScript, TXT, XML, and so on. Okay, so let's see if we get something. Okay, we get a login page. So let's look into that. Login. Okay, it redirects to wp-login.php. So it looks like it's a WordPress login page. Okay, we have so many things to work with. Let's stop the scan. Let's go back to the URL, and one of the basic recons you have to do is to check robots.txt file. Okay, so just say http:// give the IP address, and at the end say robots.txt. So robots.txt is a file that disallows some of the files to be shown. So if you check one of the popular sites like, let's say, flipkart.com/robots.txt. So every website should have this robots.txt file to disallow some of these pages from the Google search. Okay, so as you can see, this key one of 3.txt is been hidden from us. So let's open a new tab and say key one of 3.txt. Okay, so let's copy this and paste it over here and submit. So let's go back. We can also see this file fsociety.dic. So let's paste it over here and send it. Okay, it downloads a file. Okay, let's open it, copy it to this particular Mr. Robot directory and go to the terminal and say ls. I can see this file. So head fsociety.dic. I can see that it is some kind of a word list. Okay, mostly like a dictionary, right? Let's see how many words are in there. fsociety.dic. I can see that 858,000 lines. Are some of them repeated? So let's check one of the expression like hack and say fsociety.dic. I can see that some of them are repeated. Okay, hacks is repeated, hackers is repeated, hackers edit is repeated. So we'll just remove the duplicates from here. Okay, so how do we do that? We'll use sort command. Sort only keep the unique ones from fsociety.dic and send them to sorted.txt. Okay, so let's send it, and now let's check the word count of sorted.txt. Now it has drastically reduced to 11,000. Cool, right? So let's use this word list to brute force this login page. Okay, so let's keep some random characters and see how it responds. Okay, so it responds with invalid username. Okay, so initially we can brute force the username and then go for the password next. Okay, so first thing what we can do is open burp suite and change this to burp proxy. Next, let's turn on the intercept and say ASDF, and this should pop up. Okay, so we're sending a post request from this URL, and this is the data that we are sending. Okay, so this is the username and this is the password. Okay, so let's send it to intruder. So let's go to intruder and clear everything and select this username and add it to the payloads. Okay, so since we are focusing only on username, so we're using sniper, so single payload for sniper. So let's go to payloads and let's load this file. Let's go to home page, desktop, TryHackMe, machines, Mr. Robot, sorted.txt. Open it. All the words are loaded over here. Okay, so there is no payload pre-processing required. There is no payload encoding. Let's go to resource pool. Let's speed up the scan with, let's say, 40 requests per second. Okay, and let's go to settings, and if you just scroll down, I can see this grep match. Let's use this grep match to select some string. Okay, so let's send it and see that we get an error message over here, right? So let's copy this and let's go to intruder and say clear everything and add this invalid username to the grep match. Okay, now everything is set. So all you have to do is click on this start attack, and here you see that invalid username is set to 1. Okay, so we need something that responds us back with no invalid username flag. Okay, so if you click on this, something would pop up, and just as we predicted, this one does not have invalid username flag. Okay, so it is Elliot. So Elliot seems to be the username. Okay, so what is the response that it has? Okay, so it says the password you entered for the username is incorrect. Okay, so this is the new information we got. Okay, so let's right click, copy it and close it and go to the positions and clear the positions and select the password and add it and change this username to Elliot. Okay, so this is the username that we got correct. Okay, so now we are focusing on the password. So since this is a singular payload, we'll use sniper. Let's go to payloads and let's keep the same payloads, and let's go to resource pool. Let's keep the same resource pool. Let's go to settings and clear this and now add this. Okay, the password you have entered for the username. Okay, so this is the new string that we are trying to match. Okay, there's one more thing that you need to consider. What happens when the username and password is correct? We usually log in, right? So it should return a 302 response also. Okay, so we have two conditions right now. First is grep match. Either you don't match this, just show us the response, or if you log in, just show us 302 response. Okay, so let's start the attack. Okay, just click on this. Okay, just as we expected, we got a 302 response and also no flag over here, which means when we use this password, we were able to log in. Okay, so let's copy this and paste it in the notes. So let's close this, discard it. So if you don't have a trial version or paid version of this Burp Suite Professional, then what you can do is just use random username and password, use this trial version of Burp Suite, capture this request and use Hydra. So I'll tell you how Hydra works in a minute, but before that, let's go back to Burp Suite, and this is a post request, right? And this is a HTTP form as well. Okay, so you capture all that data and go to nodes and paste it. This is the data, right? So you don't need to have all this redirect to something else and test cookie something else. So all you need to have is this much. Okay, and you just highlight these areas saying that this is where I mention username and this is where I mention passwords. Okay, so you replace that username and password with these values, and at the end you need to mention the error message. Okay, in this case it's invalid username. Okay, so copy this and say on failure use invalid username. Okay, so this will be your request, so that this will filter out whichever response contains invalid username, and it will give you which does not have this invalid username. Okay, so let's open the terminal and open Hydra-H, which will give us help menu. It gives us the usage, Hydra, and some options. So if it is small l, it is directly the login name or username, or if it is capital L, you have to give the file. Okay, if it is small p, you give the password directly, but if it is capital P, you give the password file. Okay, so if you scroll down here, you can see some examples. Here you mentioned the username, but here you mentioned the password list. Okay, here you mention user list, and here you directly mention the password. Okay, so here username is directly mentioned and password is also directly mentioned, but uses FTP protocol to brute force all the /24 IP addresses. Okay, so basically this Hydra is used for brute forcing. So this is a really good alternative for Burp Suite Professional. Okay, so I'll tell you how to use it. So you have to say Hydra-L to mention the user list, which is sorted.txt, and I'm giving a password. Okay, so random password, but here I'm giving a list of usernames. Okay, so this is the login page. We have already discussed that, and in this login page, this is the data and this is the error message. Okay, so I will also use the verbosity to show you how this login page is brute forced. Okay, so if I hit enter, I can see that this is the login username and this is the password. Okay, so the password is same for all the different usernames. Okay, so I'm currently removing the verbosity. So if I hit enter, so it just keeps on running. So now we can see that Elliot is the username that doesn't reply invalid username. Okay, so let's cancel this and say Elliot and password. Let's send it. Okay, so now it says the password you entered for the username. So this Elliot is written in bold letters. Okay, so we're gonna just ignore this part and say the password you entered for the username. Okay, so this will be our next string. Okay, so we'll remove this and paste this, and then you go back, and this time you give Elliot over here. Okay, with small l, not capital L, you give Elliot, and then for passwords you give the password file, which is sorted.txt. Okay, so you run it and then wait for the results. So it successfully cracked the username and password, but previously it tried to crack only the username. Okay, so we did not give the correct password, so it just kept on running. So we had to manually close it, but here we did not close it manually, it just automatically closed itself, saying that this is the valid username and password. And this is the alternative that you can use if you don't have Burp Suite Professional. Okay, let's go to the website and say Elliot and this password. Okay, so let's log in. Okay, cool. We were able to log in as Elliot Alderson. Okay, so let's browse through these sections. Okay, so in the appearance section, we have a editor option here. Okay, so here you can edit lot of things. So we can edit a 404 template, and we can edit all of these things over here. So let's select one of them. I'm going to show you with couple of pages. Currently I'm using 404 template because 404 is easy to access. All you have to do is type the IP address and some random characters and you get a 404 page. So we'll use the same 404 page, but we'll edit this 404 page. Okay, so 404 page means the page does not exist or not found. Okay, which means you can select any page, let's say some random characters, and say that this page does not exist, so load 404 page for us. Okay, which means it's currently loading this particular PHP page. Okay, so if we edit this PHP page and we keep our own PHP script, we can get a reverse shell. Okay, so all we have to do is go to our terminal and locate PHP reverse shell, and I can see that this is the PHP reverse shell. I can copy this to local directory and say revshell.php. Okay, so if I type ls, I can see revshell.php. If I open this with mousepad or any other text editor, just for visibility, I'm just doing it right here. So everything here till here is comments. Okay, so we don't need all of this, so remove this. And here they are saying that change this and change this. Okay, so here I'm changing this with my IP address because I want to connect to myself. So what is my IP? Echo $my IP. So this is my IP address. Copy this, paste it over here, and I can keep the same port number. And let's save it, select everything and copy this and go back here and paste it over here. Once you paste it, let's scroll down and you can see update file section over here. Okay, so if you click on this 404 page is now updated. Okay, so if you just type here, this 404 page would execute. Okay, so we don't see anything yet because this is just a script. It doesn't have anything to show for us. So what you have to do now is go to terminal and open netcat and LVP and 8888. So let's hit enter and reload this page and go back, and look what we got. We got a shell. So who am I? I am Demon. So can I get a shell from any other way? So let's end this reverse shell and let's go back and let's copy this script. And if I click archive.php and if I change this script over here and update this file, the file has been edited successfully. And if I just go here and type archive.php, I can affect archive.php as well. Okay, so let me open a listener and go back and just reload it. I get a shell. Okay, understand that all you have to do is change that particular page or even create a new file so that you can get a reverse shell. Let's just continue. Who am I? Daemon. So this is not a stable shell, right? If I just hit Control C, it just exits out of here. So it's not a stable shell. So to get a stable shell, I have come up with this standard process. We have already used this using Hack the Box machines. So standards, post foothold. So first of all, check if it has Python, which Python 3. Okay, it has Python 3. So you spawn a bash shell. Okay, now you have a bash shell. Now just Control Z. It will suspend it but not close it. And now you say SST ROI co FG. And if you hit enter, you get a shell back. If you just have to hit enter again. And now you get this bash shell back. And you say export term equals to xterm. Okay. So now you have a stable shell. Okay, so now you can clear it. Now you can press Ctrl C and nothing would happen. Okay, if I type ls, I can see everything from the root directory because currently it is in root. So let's go to home directory, cd home and type ls. I can see robot. So let's cd robot. Okay, I can see key 2 of 3.txt. Okay, so can I read it? No, I cannot read it because there are no permissions for daemon user to read this file. This file can be read by anyone. Okay, so let's read this file, cat password.raw.md5. So we get robot and this. Okay, we don't know what this is. So let's open a new terminal and try to see what this is. Hash ID doesn't exist. Install it, hash ID and paste it. Okay, so it can be one of these things. Okay, MD4, MD5 and so on. Okay, so it already said that it is raw MD5. Interesting. So we have to crack MD5 hash. Okay, so let's store this hash in a file. Let's say nano hash and save it. To crack this hash, we can use hashcat. Okay, so hashcat. Okay, hashcat doesn't exist, so you have to install it. So let's type hashcat -- help. So it seems to be a huge file. This is the usage, hashcat options, and then the hash file, and then the dictionary, whichever you're trying to mention. Okay, here if you see some options which are -m, which means hash type. So basically which mode it is. Okay, to remember you can say which mode. So here we will mention MD5. Okay, so we should not mention it like MD5. We should mention it as a number. Okay, we will tell all the numbers below. Okay, and the attack mode, what type of attack mode are you using? Okay, so here also we will mention a number. So let's scroll down. So for hash MD5, the mode is 0. Okay, so if you just scroll down, okay, so attack modes. So attack mode, if I want to just go straight with the word list, I just use straight attack mode. Okay, so basically what I have to do is hashcat -m0 and -a0 and followed by the hash or the hash file, right? So here I'm mentioning the hash file. Okay, and followed by the word list. I have the rocku.txt word list right here in my home directory. So tools, word list and rocku.txt. Okay, so I'll just copy this and mention it right here and rocku.txt. Okay, so this word list is supposed to crack this hash and give us the password we need. Okay, so let's scroll down and hit enter. So while it is running, I want to just show you some small thing. So I'm just zooming the terminal and I'm again running netcat listener and just hit enter. This would connect this shell to us. Okay, so if I want to change to robot user, I cannot do it directly. Okay, so if I type su robot, which means switch user to robot, it will not allow it from this shell. Okay, so this is one of the reason we need a stable shell. Okay, restore all terminals. I can just close this and I can see that this password has been cracked. Okay, so this password is cracked and this is the output, which is A to Z. So let's copy it and paste it in our notes. Robot user has this. Cool. Let's go back and let's close it. Now we know the username, which is robot, and the password A to Z. Okay, so we'll just switch the user and say switch user robot and give the password, and now you are robot user. Okay, and you're in home directory. And if I type ls, I can see key 2 of 3.txt. Let's copy it and cat this one, and let's copy this and go to TryHackMe. Okay, the machine has expired, so looks like I can still access it, right? But somehow it just lets me answer the password. Okay, cool. So now privilege escalation time. I need to find key 3 of 3.txt. So let me locate key 3 of 3.txt. So can I do that? Okay, locate command not found. So can I use find command / type file name key 3 of 3.txt. Okay, so many errors. Cool. So let's exit and send those errors to /dev/null. Okay, so I cannot find it as a normal user because I cannot even read it. So what I can do is, as part of privilege escalation, find / and say permissions of user to have set user permissions. Okay, and then type we want a file, and let's see if any errors come, then send them to /dev/null. Okay, so let's see what we got. So it just dumped us a lot of files, and which one actually stands out? Everyone can use ping, everyone can use umount, mount, ping6, and all of these things. Okay, so there is nmap that stands out. Okay, so do you know that by using nmap you can spawn a shell? First of all, let's see whose permissions can nmap execute. Okay, so nmap can execute root permissions and everyone can execute nmap. So others can execute as the root user. So that's what this setuid means. Okay, so if I just run this like this, nmap just dumps us the help menu. But if I run nmap --interactive, I get an interactive shell. Okay, so by using this interactive shell, I can send system commands. Okay, so how do I do that? If I type who am I, that doesn't work. Okay, unknown command. But if I type exclamation mark and then who am I, it gives me as root. Interesting. So can I ask it to dump a shell? So I can ask it to dump sh or bash. So let's type sh. Sh should be enough. Okay, I get a root. So who am I? I'm root. So let's go to root directory, which is located at /root. And if I type ls, I can see, so key 3 of 3.txt. So let's cat it and I get the final key. Okay, so let's copy this, paste it over here and send it. Whoop whoop, your answer is correct and we successfully completed the room. I hope you enjoyed this one and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.